So to set this up, this whole scene here, this is only going to be part of the chapter, but Maggie Walker, she's looking for her son Aiden, who's a 5-year-old boy, and she finally finds him. The villains had them. She's trapped in this warehouse in this freezer and this big cooler. And she's with her husband Nathan and his buddy Dale, who are cops. They're on the same SWAT team together. And her friend William, who is a forever person who has these abilities. And so they're going into this warehouse to free Aiden from the villains. And so they've dealt with a lot of people. Now they're freeing Aiden. And this is told from the perspective of Maggie. So when I say I am or I did this, it's Maggie. So, all right. Chapter 51, The Ghost Collector. Aiden's big brown eyes swelled with tears. So did mine. Without warning, the door tore from my hands and slammed shut on its own. "We take one little potty break," a man said in an accent I didn't recognize, "and the inmates take over the asylum." A stranger traipsed into the room from the far entrance. He wore a long overcoat and a weathered face. "We like your guns," he said, casually walking toward us. There was something unsettling about him. He made my skin crawl. Without hesitation, Nathan and Dale fired. The bullets hit the wall 10 feet behind him, leaving him untouched. They looked at each other in confusion. Nathan fired again, 3 times. 3 shots pulverized the wall behind the man. The stranger was still standing. Nathan lowered his gun. How did I miss? William squinted at the stranger. His aura is strange. He's not forever. But not entirely human either. Nathan asked, "How do we stop him?" William cracked his knuckles. "Let's find out." He ran toward the stranger. As though propelled by a force field, he went flying backwards. The stranger spoke. "Hello, good people." The fluctuation of his vocal cords seemed to vibrate, as though his voice came from all around the room. "Thank you for joining us. You saved us the trouble of finding you." I pointed the raging judge at him. "Who are you?" "We're being rude," he said. "Our name is Clarence. We are the child's keeper." I raised my gun. "Give me my son." He twitched his finger and my pistol snapped from my hand and hurled across the room. He gestured to come here. I slid across the floor, propelled by an unseen force. "Drop her," Nathan said, closing in with his Glock. Dale moved closer on my left. "Let her go." I was face to face with Clarence. He grinned. His teeth were yellow and decayed. His breath smelled like he was rotting from the inside out, like dead fish and burnt hair. His eyes darted erratically. "You're her," he said. "You're the mother." I hovered off the ground several inches. "I am his mother, and you will let Aiden go." "We don't think so." With a wave of his hand, I was thrown several yards. I tumbled across the floor until I hit a support beam. His gaze fell on Dale. "1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians." Clarence raised his hand and Dale levitated 10 feet in the air. Nathan fired at the stranger's face, but nothing hit. I grabbed my gun and moved behind Clarence. Raising it to the back of his skull, I pulled back the hammer. He spun around. "Go away," he said. His shrill voice cut my ears like teeth scraping a fork. The judge ripped from my fingers. I felt giant invisible fingers wrap around me and toss me to the back wall. I was held against a wall, suspended in the air. Clarence looked at Dale and grinned, continuing to sing his nursery rhyme. 4 little, 5 little, 6 little Indians. Pointing his gun at Clarence's head, Nathan tried to pull the trigger. It wouldn't move. "My gun is stuck," he said. The screws unscrewed, the clip fell out, and the handgun fell to pieces. While levitating, Dale pointed his magnum at the stranger. Clarence raised his index finger. Dale's arm snapped backwards. The pistol fell. Clarence continued. 7 little, 8 little, 9 little Indians. Dale's lower leg snapped forward and rotated around at impossible angles. His knee popped and cracked. Bone snapped against bone. His ribs were breaking. 10 little Indian boys. Dale floated limply in the air, on the verge of passing out. Broken, helpless, dying. William got to his feet. "Stop!" He squinted and focused. The stranger grunted and dropped Dale. The man's skin became pale. Black veins emerged from his neck and face. William was draining his life force. The large bay window shattered. Old tables, chairs, boards, and bricks shot through the air at him. William and Nathan were caught in the maelstrom of debris. I jumped down to Dale. He spat blood. His eyes were dull, like he didn't recognize me. "Hold on, Dale," I said. "We'll heal you right up, you'll see." I'm all messed up," he said. "Inside." "You're hurt. Don't try to talk." "Hurt?" he said. "Funny. I don't feel a thing." "Be quiet. That's an order," I said. His head in my hands, I stroked his temple. He raised his hand to my face. "Nate's a lucky guy." "Shut up," I said, tears forming in my eyes. "We're going to save you." But he didn't hear me. The light in his eyes was gone. William teleported around Clarence, reaching to him, trying to teleport him. But each time he got close, he was thrown away. Each time he was thrown, there was a white mist in the air, a weird, faded hint of something I couldn't quite see. Beside me, Nathan held his bleeding ribs and crawled to Dale. "Dale!" He grabbed his friend's dead hand and wept. I looked up. William was being tossed in the air, as if he was a chew toy to an invisible elephant-sized mongrel. He was shaking violently back and forth in the air. 10 little Indians standing in a line," Clarence said. William's arms bent backwards, breaking at every joint. "One toddled home, and then there were 9. William's spine coiled around 180. His body was contorted like a pretzel. He fell to the floor, a mess of flesh and bone. 9 little Indians swinging on a gate." Clarence's gaze landed on me. Nathan attacked him. He froze, held by a force I couldn't see. Clarence strolled toward me. My gun was only a few yards away. I leapt for it. Something grabbed me and spun me around, hurling me against a cement support beam, upside down. As Clarence moved closer, my body slowly rotated, right side up. He got in my face. I felt his rotting breath on my skin. He grinned. 1 tumbled off, and then there were 8. His hand slid down my cheek. 8 little Indian gayest under heaven. 1 went to sleep, and then there were 7. Clarence leaned into my neck and sniffed. 7 little Indians cutting up their tricks. Without touching me, I was raised against the cement beam several inches. White vaporous tendrils formed a hand and closed around my throat. I was choking. 1 broke his neck, and then there were 6. In my peripheral, I saw William struggle to his feet. Frozen in place, Nathan shouted, "Let her go, you son of a bitch!" Clarence turned to him, slowly curling his fingers into a fist. Nathan screamed. A force pulled him up. There was a cracking sound, like burning embers popping in a fireplace. His bones were breaking. Pop! Crack! 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 Nathan was being crushed. "Stop it!" I yelled. "Leave him alone!" Clarence remained focused on Nathan. "Make us," he said, without turning around. "How do you make an insane man with mind power stop killing your husband? The simple question is, how do you make a man stop? Attack his ego." I think I'll stop right there for now. That was definitely one of the more violent sections, but you get the point of who the Ghost Collector is and how deadly he really is. So that was fun. So I do just like doing his voice, but maybe I can find another part of a chapter to read in another time. So hope you guys enjoyed that. That is, again, from The Wanting, The Dark Forever, Book 1. That was Chapter 51, The Ghost Collector. Interesting character, very deadly. So thank you for listening. Hope you had fun. I did.